And my mic was muted. Perfect. That's okay. We caught it just in time. Welcome in everybody to another episode of the H-Town Huddle. We are in week 14, believe it or not, and the Texans are surprisingly 7-5, just outside sniffing, hunting a playoff spot with a huge matchup coming in this week. But they just took care of business. Last time we spoke, they were about to face off versus the Buffalo Bills. Took care of business there, did what they had to do, got the win, and then handled business up in Indianapolis. But we'll talk about all of that and their upcoming matchup coming up here in a second on this brand new edition. Make sure that you guys are tuning in, showing up and showing out with neonpeacockmerch.com. Sale is happening. It's been extended. For those of you who were following along thinking that it was going to end yesterday, sale has been extended to the 11th. So go ahead and grab some stuff, throw it in your cart, check all of that stuff out. Make sure that you're visiting the website, and we'll grab a word from our sponsor before we start the show. All right. Appreciate everybody for showing up, showing out. Make sure that you're checking out neonpeacockmerch.com. $13 tees, everything else on sale right now, happening all the way up until the 11th. Make sure you're smashing the like button, hitting subscribe, checking out all the other channels under the Gen Wealth Network. We're here together. We're doing this, man. We're hitting the fantasy week playoff. This is it. This is the last week right before the playoffs start. So hopefully you guys are locking in those bye weeks. Like a lot of those teams that I got right now, I got to just crunch time, 5 of those or so, lock in that first round bye, and then everybody else, let's get in the playoffs. Let's dance. All right. Speaking of getting in the playoffs and dancing, we are talking Houston Texans, baby, and that's what they're trying to do. Staying afloat. They won 3 games straight before C.J. Stroud returned from his injury from concussion, brain injury, and all, or not all, but a lot in part due to good backup quarterback play from this man, Davis Mills Mafia. Believe it or not, that guy played out of his mind, and it's actually pretty pedestrian numbers. CJ Stroud came back from rusty from concussion and put up basically similar numbers. Nico Collins stepping out of bounds on the sideline did not help, inflate Stroud's fantasy numbers on the day. All the touchdowns came from rushes on the ground, so couldn't add that to his stat line. But Texans taking care of business, passing up the Indianapolis Colts. We'll get into some of the stats and all that in a bit. But like I said, welcome into week 14. And I didn't even do the official intro, so let's just take a 30-second pause and do that. The abbreviated intro, just to get us going and get things rolling here. Want to do a quick one. It's Saturday show. Why? Because we have a late Sunday night game. It's going to be a primetime thing. Of note, Texans are traveling to Kansas City. CJ Stroud, I think, is 0-3 in games below 34 degrees. So just a little side note on that. But like I said, Texans winners of 4 in a row. 3 of them with the Davis Mills under center. CJ Stroud coming back from that last one. But we got a big game coming up tomorrow night, everybody. Make sure that you're tuning in tomorrow, setting your lineups for fantasy football with the Gen Wealth Net. The Grit Don't Quit, week 14. Doing it 14 weeks straight, giving you guys fantasy advice for 7+ hours on the day. So it's like the fantasy red zone, but with live reactions and a bunch of hoopla to go along with it. But yeah, Davis Mills, talk of the town. There he is. Smart guy, was able to help the Texans win 3 games while C.J. Stroud was out with a concussion and kept their season alive. All right, cool. Houston at Kansas City. It's going to be a tough one. I was at the game last year, the playoff game that they got knocked out of. A couple of questionable calls in that one, but the Texans defense is not going to stop playing the way that they play defense, and I think they're going to go out there and try to get after Patrick Mahomes to get him off of his game and do what they got to do, right? But they'll be flying in out there into Arrowhead, and I've been there. It's a nice cold stadium, so I think it's 26 degrees out there in Kansas City right now as we speak, so that's just something to monitor. But the wind and all that should be fine. No snow or rain projected, so we'll see how it goes. And speaking of projections, there it is: the 7-5 Texans at the 6-6 Chiefs. Texans have a chance to bury the Chiefs Sunday night. Chiefs 26th of the NFL in defensive efficiency this season, not too good, so that helps the Houston Texans at least to some degree. But we'll see if they're willing up to the challenge and if they can take advantage of that. Chiefs has had the extended rest since coming off of their Thanksgiving Day loss to the Dallas Cowboys. So we'll see what happens there, but they have big playoff implications in this game. Chances to make the playoffs here for the Houston Texans. With a win, jumps to 78. With a loss, down to 37%. Chiefs 56 with a win, down all the way to 12. Chiefs have the 4th easiest remaining schedule after this game. But yeah, here's looking at it from another perspective. The playoff chances, it's a 44% differential this weekend. It's the 2nd highest of any team in Week 14 based on their win or loss this Sunday. So we'll see how all of that goes. But the odds, may they forever be in their favor, because Kansas City, the home team, is favored by 3.5 points. The over-under is 41.5. So if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Brought to you by BetMGM. But yeah, Houston on the road. It's if you look at this game last year in the playoffs, I think it was an 8-point spread or 6-point spread. It turned into an 8-point game. Texans closing in on that, but there were some controversial calls. And this one, though, this year, big difference from last year in the playoffs all the way down to Week 14 here with a 3.5-point spread. So not too bad, not too shabby. Over under, like I mentioned, 41.5. Kansas City has a 66% chance to win. So they're back against the wall. Let's see what happens, what they're up against. But here is the final injury report for this game. And if you go all the way to game status on the far right there, you'll be able to see that Chris Roland Wallace is out. And then we have a couple of doubtfuls, big ones there for the Kansas City Chiefs. Their guard, Trey Smith, tackle, Jawan Taylor, both doubtful. And then wide receiver, of course, Remigio out for them as well. But they had a bunch of other full participants, guys returning to practice for them. Let me go ahead and remove the banner so we can get the rest of the image in. And for the Houston Texans, the only persons out would be Jamal Hill. And then Tim Settle Jr., unfortunately, with a foot injury, was placed on the IR, will not finish the season. Jalen Reed, the safety, also had surgery on his forearm recently, but he's just missing this game. We'll see if he will be able to make a return at some point this season for the playoffs. But fortunately, losing Tim Settle for the remainder of the season, I believe it does hurt them, but they do have other guys like Mario Edwards and Danico Autry, around who make the rotations and hopefully still be a force to reckon with, as that defensive line is extremely stout for the Houston Texans. Just pin their ears and go. Speaking of that defensive line, Will Anderson Jr. this season. Let's just put myself up in a corner. Nobody puts baby in a corner, but let me put myself up in a corner just so you guys can see me a little bit. Will Anderson Jr. this season, just look at where he ranks according to PFF and a bunch of potential categories here. First, second, 91.2 PFF grade overall, 69 pressures, that's second, 21.6 pressure rate, that's first, 27.8 win rate, that's second. Happy holidays, everybody. He is on a tear, and that is nightmare fuel. Hold on, sorry about that. That is nightmare fuel, ladies and gentlemen. Both those guys pinching down on the edge. Should be fun to watch. Hopefully they can get after Patrick Mahomes and we can all cheer for his downfall. With the Chiefs not being in the playoffs, it's everybody's a win, gets a win there. So, so H-Town's defense, here we go. Under 21 points last 5 of 6 games that they've played. I think the one that kind of got away and it gets credited to the defense was that special teams one versus Jacksonville, where they scored quite a few points there. First game, C.J. Stroud was out. But that Texans defense is nasty. Look at them on the bottom lower left quadrant of this chart. This is disguised coverage rate versus blitz rate. Texans are in the bottom left, meaning that they're blitzing very little, and they're not disguising their coverage. They're basically lining up and saying, look, we're right here. This is what we're going to do. Try to stop it, on defense. And so they're not sending a lot of extra blitzes. They're rushing with 4. They're not disguising any coverages. They're just winning with speed on the back end. So these guys are just here and saying, freak it. We are here. Try to come at us and score. Look at what we're doing here. So, and being very successful at it as well. This last week, they allowed 16 points versus the league's number 1 scoring offense, and they kept them 3 of 12 on third down. So that third and fourth down combined, that was the Indianapolis Colts. Obviously, I know that Daniel Jones was a little bit limited with mobility, but that's no excuse for a team that was, extremely hot, talk of the town, first in the AFC, Super Bowl aspirations. So Houston Texans doing their thing, I think, versus any offense in the league that's, do what they do. What up, Peanut Butter and Jay? Gang in the house, man. What's up? We're rolling through this one. It's a Saturday edition, so we're just trying to fly through all the points, get the prediction out there, and enjoy our Saturday night. But the passing defense, they still were able to hold the Colts to under 202 yards last week, as well as they have 10 of the last 11 games. So super sticky on the back end with a ferocious pass rush. Daniel Jones, 201 yards, 101.1 rate, which is actually, really good. Just a testament to the way that he has been playing this season. But on the ground for them, Jonathan Taylor, JT, only 85 rush yards, 4 yards per carry, which is, pretty good for the league average. They're really good versus Texans, actually, because they've allowed less than that as a whole. But you see that there that the Chiefs are desperate. They have lost 3 of their last 4 games. Their back is against the wall. They are at home, and they are favored. So they are currently the 8th seed in the AFC. The Texans, I think, just a game or 2 in front. So just currently on the outside looking in, I believe in the 7th seed or that in the hunt position right outside of the wild card. So last week, Kansas City versus Dallas put up 28 points, 5 of 13 on third down, and 3 of 3 in the red zone, which is actually, really good and efficient. Dallas Cowboys defense, it's a little bit better, but nothing crazy. But under 24 points in 3 of their previous games were the Kansas City Chiefs. So, obviously not a great defense. They were able to do something like this. I think if Houston Texans can keep the Kansas City Chiefs to under 20 points, they should be able to win this football game. So, like I mentioned, the Chiefs have been under 24 in 3 of their previous games before the Dallas Cowboys won. So, in Week 13, the Kansas City O-line allowed 3 sacks, and both of their tackles left the game hurt. I mentioned that earlier in the injury report, so that's something to monitor, especially for the Nightmare Fuel. Right? These guys are relentless. They have a plethora of moves. I saw an interview with Will Anderson Jr. just talking about how meticulous is. He sounds like a pitcher, MLB pitcher, with like what he has in the bag and how he can keep his opponent, any offensive lineman, guessing and off guard. So it's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be a very interesting game. So did talk about the Mahomes sacks. He sacked 3+ times last week, and that's also in the last 5 straight games. I think if the Texans can get to him like that, then they have a really good chance to win this football game. But the guy to watch on the other end, deep end of the field, would be Rashee Rice, who went 8 receptions, 90+ yards in back-to-back games. He's only played in a handful, and I believe he's on pace with guys like JSN here. So, those are guys that you got to be careful with. I know the Texans have a stingy defense, but regardless, if he's going to be getting 12 targets, got to keep those numbers down. Last week, 12 targets, 8 catches, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns versus Dallas Cowboys leaky secondary. So just something to watch. You got to be wary of that. You got to get Mahomes on the ground and not have him extend plays. I think the Texans have done a great job versus multiple quarterbacks and all quarterbacks this season, not allowing a top 12 quarterback or number 1 fantasy football finisher at the position. So last week, you see Mahomes go 23 of 34 for 261, 4 touchdowns, 129.7 rate. That's just atrocious and ridiculous, and there's no way the Texans would win with allowing Mahomes to do something like that to their defense. But last week, Patrick versus Dallas, sub 80 rate with the previous 3 games compared to that 150 nearly perfect rating versus Dallas. So if we can keep Mahomes there to a sub 80 rate, looks really good for the Houston Texans this time around. On the other end, though, Stroud, his total QBR for the season slowly creeping up all the way to number 6 there at 66%. There's Patrick Mahomes with a 73 average. So we got to keep Mahomes in that range, 73 or below, and I think that the Texans can win this football game regardless of how Stroud and the offense look on the other side, so long as they're not giving the football up. But you look at the Texans offense recently versus the blitz since week 8, these guys have been really good. All ranks at yards per play at 8 with the number there being the 4th ranked, and then 5th in EPA per play there, and 8th in the success rate. So these expected points added per play there, that's something that was probably in the negative to start the first 3-4 weeks of the season. Texans losing, I believe they were 0-5 in one-score games, and they jumped back and they've won their last 3 one-score games, if I'm not mistaken, something to that effect. So the ball bouncing the other way for the Houston Texans as of late. But you want to go, talk about picks. The crew at the Game Pick Center, heavily favoring the Kansas City Chiefs. I guess looking at what happened with the Detroit Lions this last time around, with their backs against the wall, they're expecting this team to respond in kind and keep their playoff hopes and their season alive versus the Houston Texans. But close scores all the way around. And if you look at that, I think nobody has anything higher than a point total of 24 for one particular team. So I do believe that the Houston Texans will come out on top here. Give me will they cover this? Will they hold and cover? Yeah, go ahead and give me the Houston Texans 21, Kansas City Chiefs 18. All right, there are my final picks for the evening. I hope everybody had a grand old time here on the H-Town Huddle. Like I said, it was going to be a quick one. Saturday evening, got stuff to do with the fam bam. And everybody enjoy football tomorrow. Make sure you're checking out the rest of everyone else on the GWN network. I didn't talk about the Texans run game, but I think Woody Marks is healthy and good to go. Great to start. You're going to start Nico, Dalton Schultz, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and that's about it. You may want a deep flex, desperation, maybe Higgins. But that's all I got for you guys. Until next time, remember that you all absolutely cannot spell peacock without P.
It's special. We're starting at practice. We practice off this weekend. Your boys are tired. Let's keep it up this week, man. Texans!
bitch.